So we're on the grid for the Formula I Indian Grand Prix. On pole position is Josh, followed by Jess, Lyra, Kenzo, Daniel, Stephen, our championship leader, and Will. And they're ready to go. It's a good start from Josh. Can he maintain the lead into turn 1? It looks like he can. Jess forced to tuck in behind him. And it looks like a fairly clean start for all of the top drivers. Stephen looking to get past Daniel, and he's taken the place. And now they go on to the very long straight, one of the longest straights in Formula I. One of the best overtaking places as well. Let's see if any of them can make a move. It looks like Izzy is trying to get past Daniel, and in the background the other Tiamat is trying to get past Matt. And Stephen goes for a move on Kenzo, but it doesn't work and he locks up, and he's lost several places. That's going to put him outside of the top 10. As Lee goes through, looks like Amy might be trying to make a pass as well, but has to back out of it. That's a ton of places lost for Stephen. Let's see what happened. Just brakes too late. Runs well wide. He was never going to make that corner. A very ambitious move from Stephen. Definitely didn't work out. And he's got a lot of time to make up now. Very good job from Kenzo to avoid him, honestly. So, Josh leads by 1.2 seconds at the end of the first lap. Behind, Lyra and Kenzo, as they were on the starting grid, and then Will and Izzy, up 2 and 3 places respectively. Here's Lee, trying to defend against Stephen, but Stephen's got the straight line speed, and makes the pass into the hairpin. Here's Josh, leading the race, now by over 1.5 seconds. Lee looks like they're beginning to hold up a bit of a train in that Racing Disappoint car. Not quite as competitive as it looked at the start of the season. Though it does also look like they've closed up back a bit on Stephen. Let's see if George can get past Lee at the end of the long straight. And he takes the position. Lee not putting up too much of a defence there. Here's Josh. The lead's come down a bit to Jess, so it'll be interesting to see whether Josh has made a mistake or whether Jess has just picked up the pace. Here's Lyra, defending against Kenzo. Kenzo's teammate Josh, of course, leading this race, so the Affoniere is looking very competitive around this circuit. But Kenzo will want to get past Lyra fairly quickly, as he's doing so, and he takes the place. Because he had Will behind him, and Will isn't one to hang around waiting. Here's Stephen, trying to get past Matt. Matt going very defensive. Also, like his teammate, very difficult to pass. And someone you want to leave a bit of extra space when racing. Here's Stephen going around the outside of Matt, and he's taken the place. An incredible move. Stephen now up into 8th place. So, here are our top 10. Nearly 1/3 distance now. Josh extended his lead back out to 1.7 seconds. Doesn't seem to be able to make a huge gap on Jess. It'll be interesting to see how things go once we get to the pit stop phase. Things can change a lot then. It'll be interesting to see how much fuel Josh is carrying. Here's Will going for a move on Lyra. Pushes Lyra wide. And gains the position. And that has also cost Lyra the place to Izzy. Very aggressive move from Will, but Lyra managed to avoid any actual contact, it seems. And we're having the first pit stops. And that's George and Tom. It's actually Stephen. My bad. So, very early stop from Stephen, but that might get him out of the traffic and he'll now have the clear air to set those fast lap times. Here's Will, trying to pass Izzy now. Izzy going much more defensive than Lyra did. She really doesn't want to lose that position. Izzy's in a very good place in the championship, and with Stephen well down the order, she wants to be making the most of this and scoring as many points over him as possible. I have a few more cars in the pits now. Will's going for another move on Izzy. He's broken very late. Is he going to make the corner? He runs a bit wide, comes back onto the track, and Izzy goes back through, as does Lyra, and Daniel as well. So it hasn't worked out. Not nearly as costly as Stephen's move, but still cost him quite a few places. Let's see what happened. Goes to the inside, brakes very late. Looks like he might be able to make the corner, but the runoff there is very slippery, and that's what causes him to lose so much time when he comes back onto the track. But no contact was made, and they'll keep running. Will now down into 7th position. Hasn't lost him too much time though. Here's Jess coming into the pits from 2nd place. Is this an attempt to undercut Josh? If so, we'll see whether it works. But that will require that she comes out with a clear track in front of her so that she can make the most of the fresh tyres. But that's a very slow stop. 8.1 seconds, that hasn't worked out well at all. And it looks like she's coming out in a load of traffic. So this isn't going to work for Jess, it looks like. And that might put her under pressure from Josh's teammate Kenzo. Steven trying to pass Rob, and he runs into the back of him, and Steven spins. And that's put Rob off as well. Disaster for Steven. Tries to go for a move, but decides against it, but he committed to braking late, and that just forced him into running into the back of Rob. Really, Rob did nothing wrong there. Here's Kerrod, defending against Michael. And here's Will, coming into the pits. Let's see what kind of pit stop time he can do, where he comes out relative to Jess and Steven. Though Steven will be well down now after that spin. That's 7.6 second stop, so that hasn't worked out too well. It's Jess going around the outside of Quinn, and Will doesn't look like he's coming out the pits so far behind Jess, and he'll have fresher tyres. So this may well still work out, even with that slightly slower stop. But it's Afournier who lead 1-2. They still need to make their pit stops, of course. So, still a lot of time for things to change, but it's looking pretty good for the Afournier team. 3rd place is Izzy. 4th is Lyra. And 5th is Dan. And Kenzo is coming into the pits. So, Afournier choosing to pit their 2nd driver first. Josh obviously happy on his older tyres. Thinks he can keep going. Wants to make the most of his fuel run. And it really does show how impressive his early laps are, given that he seemed to be carrying more fuel than the cars that he was pulling away from. Pretty slow stop from Kenzo there. Let's see if Daniel's pit crew can do any better. Yes, 6.7 seconds. And where's Kenzo going to come out? That's Quinn behind. So he's a few seconds behind Jess. And here is Steven battling with Will. And Daniel comes out just ahead of the two of them. But his line is compromised by the pit lane exit, and that's caused him to make contact with Will. Let's see what happened here. Daniel coming out of the pits. And Steven just runs into the back of him. Steven obviously not expecting Dan to be there, and as Dan recovers from that collision, he is forced to hit Will. I don't think he took much damage from that, but that has cost him 2 places. And here's Rob's broken car rolling back onto the track. Are they going to have to throw a red flag for this? They're being forced to slow down. Depends whether they can safely remove his car from that position. It's a very high speed part of the track, but there is runoff to use. If the track's blocked, the marshal picks an interesting time to run onto the track, but he does manage to somewhat safely push him off. So here we have many drivers coming into the pits. Got Josh, Izzy, Matt, Lee and Callum. Pretty slow stop from Izzy. Nice stop from Matt. Is Callum coming in, as is Lee. Josh exits the pits, and I think that will mean that he retains the net lead. And who's going to be net in 2nd? It looks like Jess will hold that, followed by Kenzo. Kerrod and Quinn in 6th and 7th are yet to stop. Michael makes his stop, he'll be well down the order, it looks like. Many cars passing him. Callum comes out, just narrowly avoids a collision with Tom. Comes out ahead of that train and in 15th place. So, Josh will be our net leader once Lyra and Amy pit. Probably followed by Jess and Kenzo. So, the top 3 are as they were and as they have been from the start of this race. Or pretty much, anyway. Obviously, Lyra was battling with Kenzo, so it'll be interesting to see where those two are relative to each other, as Amy makes a bit of a mistake, and she spun off. Doesn't hit the wall, though, so she'll keep going, but that won't help her tyres at all. Very good stop from Lyra. And pretty bad stop from Amy in the Tiamat. So, where's Lyra going to come out? A lot of cars going past, really losing a lot of places to staying on those tyres for a long time. That's been really costly. Down into 9th, just ahead of Matt. And there's a good chance with the Succulent Motor straight line speed that Matt may well challenge at the end of the long straight. Let's see what he does. But very good exit off the corner on the fresh tyres for Lyra. It looks like she's safe. In fact, Daniel's going to challenge Matt. Got a very good run. Let's see how he does under braking. Takes the position fairly easily. Matt now out of the top 10. Here's Kenzo, battling with Jess for 2nd place. And he's taken the position. So it's now an Affoniere 1-2, with all the pit stops being made for the top drivers. Kerrod still yet to stop, really holding up Izzy. This might let Will close up. Izzy has to get past soon, but you've got to imagine that Kerrod will be pitting at the end of this lap, as they go through the final few corners. Izzy goes for the overtake, Kerrod going very defensive, but deciding to go in the pits instead. Definitely not worth fighting that. That isn't his race. And Kerrod will presumably drop well out of the top 10. Here's Daniel, still defending against Matt. Be interesting to see whether he can keep the Succulent Motors driver behind. Succulent Motors have had a great season so far, still yet to get a podium finish. Obviously Matt has moved to their team with the expectation that that car will get better. It'll be interesting to see how they manage the dynamics between him and Will. Matt, of course, ahead of Will in the championship right now, but Will ahead in this race. It looks like a fairly comfortable race for the Affoniere team. They're pulling out a gap over everyone else. And with just 2 laps to go, if all goes well for them, they'll be getting another 1-2 finish. I think they're first of this season. Here's Matt challenging Daniel. Not making it this time. And if he makes a mistake in trying to get past, then Matt might be vulnerable to an attack from Lyra behind. And Amy is very close behind Lyra as well. So still a lot of positions that are up for change in the top 10 in the closing laps here, as Michael passes Freddie for 17th. But it's a fairly comfortable lead for the two Affonières. You can see they've got a fairly big length of that very long straight back to the next car, which is Jess. And then an even bigger gap back to Izzy, who seems to be holding a fairly comfortable gap ahead of Will for now. Are any positions going to change in the lower end of these top 10? Daniel going very defensive, locking up a bit. I think his tyres are a bit older than a lot of these drivers. As Lyra also running wide. Josh takes the win for Affoniere, followed by his teammate Kenzo. It's a 1-2. In third will be Jess. Fourth is Izzy in the Tiamat. Fifth is Will. Sixth will be Stephen, who will retain the championship lead. And seventh is Daniel. I presume Matt doesn't look like he's going to get a run over the line, and he doesn't. Lyra 9th, and Amy in 10th. So a very dominant race for the two Affonières, winning by 11.3 seconds over the next car in the end. That will definitely help them in the Constructors' Championship.